Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Glad to have you guys here on this Tuesday, May 23rd, 2023. Thank you for tuning in. Now listen, take a look here at this story. Why I'm bringing this story up is I want to show you guys that they're trying it out, this central bank digital currency. Not here. There's a test bed case going on right now in Africa, in Nigeria, and with their e-dollars. And I'm going to show you what they're doing here, because this is what you can expect to happen over here when they try to run this and when they try to make this happen. And they're testing it to see if they can get away with it and see if they can make it work on a smaller country, on a smaller scale. They're very nervous. You say, well, Glenn, why are they nervous? They're nervous because not because they don't have the technology. They have the technology for a central bank digital currency. That's not what they're nervous about. They could implement it tomorrow morning. That's not what's making them nervous. What's making them nervous is, and what they're really frightened of, is if they try to implement it across the country, they put in draconian rules and measures to implement it, and then if the whole thing fails anyway, if the people absolutely reject it. This is what really frightens them, because they know that if they try a second time, it's going to be worse than the first time, and they might never get this thing in. They really want this. They want this bad. And so they're going to fully test it first. You know, I mean, it's like this. If you were building a rocket ship to Mars, you know, and you built this new theoretical rocket and everything else, you wouldn't want to get on there and be blasting off to Mars. You're going up and up and up and up, and all of a sudden the rocket ship blows up, you inside it. It's over, right? No, what you do is you build them and test them first to make sure that you're going to be able to get it past the Earth and get it into orbit and get it off to Mars first before you get on it to ride it. It just makes sense. And that's the way with this. This makes sense that they want to test this thing first to see how it's going to function before they enslave all of you guys. And what I mean by enslave all of you guys is, imagine a world where if you do something that they don't like, they just switch off your wallet. They switch off your bank account. They switch off your currency so it doesn't work for you any longer. They don't even have to come get you. They can just click of a button, click of a mouse. And now, go out and try to buy food now. Because your money don't work. See, money's going to be, what they're planning with this system is they're going to personalize money. Money is not going to be money anymore. Money is going to be attached to you as a number. So you're a number in the system. That number is a bank account, basically. It's like your Bitcoin number of your wallet address. And they got enough of these numbers that they can give to each and every person out there. So you're that number. So when they switch off that number doesn't work any longer. That means the money don't work for you any longer. Or they can just punish you. They can make it so that you don't have the amount of money you used to have, and you're not able to do the things you used to be able to do. This is very much an enabler for them. So let's read what's happening in Africa, because Africa is a test bed. It says Africa's first test run currency for CBD has failed. CBDC has failed. Well, has it really? I don't think it's actually failed yet. It just didn't go as planned. It says the transition to a CBDC in Nigeria did not go as planned. The elites always seek out an African nation to use as their test subject. Nigeria attempts to slowly roll out the program dubbed e-Naira, built on the Hyperledger Fabric blockchain. The Central Bank of Nigeria is solely responsible for running the nodes of this digital currency, beginning stress tests. So they're doing the stress tests right now on it and stuff. And the whole thing, it can execute 2,000 transactions per second. So yeah, it works fine. It says in October 2021, the government began offering incentives to citizens to choose the central bank digital currency. In other words, we'll give you whatever, incentives. A year later, the country is still hesitant to make the switch to the central bank. So the central bank began implementing forceful measures. So the carrot didn't work. They're giving people incentives. That didn't work. So what they did was, after a year went by, they said, okay, now more forceful measures. So what they were decided to do was in October 2022, the CBN decided to cancel and resign the currency. So the old currency, they decided to get rid of it, take it out of circulation forcefully. They stated that it would only be legal tender, this was the old currency, until January 31st, 2023, leaving the people with no alternative but to convert their cash into these new e-bills, these e-Naira bills. So this is what we can expect here if they try this on, if they try to implement a CBDC. They'll give it a testbed run, parallel to they'll do exactly what they're doing here. First a testbed run, running it parallel to the regular dollars. And then after a while, if it's not being adopted, nobody wants it, nobody wants to deal with it, then they'll say, okay, we're going to give you a limited period of time and then your cash is going to be worthless. That's the general plan here, and that'll be the general plan when they move it to a larger test bed. But right now, they're just testing it in Nigeria, evidently. It says, by December 2nd, 2022, the Central Bank of Nigeria issued a letter to all banking institutions implementing a strict ban on physical cash. So there you go. Ban on cash. You're going to see that I'm right about this if they continue with this, if they don't scrap the whole thing. That they'll try this whole ban on cash thing. So you guys are a lot worried about, they're going to ban gold. I don't think they're going to ban gold. I don't think they're going to ban silver. They're going to ban your cash. So pay attention to what I'm saying. If you've got cash stored away someplace, those are Federal Reserve notes. They only work with the Federal Reserve's permission for them to work. They're worthless other than that. If the Federal Reserve comes along and says, okay, all those Federal Reserve notes we released, we're hauling them all back in. We give you 2 months to exchange yours in. And they can come over overnight and to say that. Then those Federal Reserve notes become worthless after the date that they say they're going to be worthless. In other words, it's money by say-so. That money's only got worth because they say so. And that's what you guys are using on a day-to-day basis. See, silver and gold and cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, they don't work on I say so by the government. They function on their own merit. But the currencies out there, like the Federal Reserve notes, they only function on the government's say-so. And if the government says they're worthless, then they become instantly worthless. Because they don't belong to you. Those are Federal Reserve notes. They belong to the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve released them, and they own them, and they belong to the Federal Reserve, not to you. I don't care. You might have some of them put away in a vault someplace. They don't belong to you. They belong to the issuer. And if the issuer says they're worthless, then they can make them worthless even though they don't have to actually physically have them in their possession to make them worthless. They can just say, okay, they're worthless. And they're worthless. So evidently this isn't going so good over there. I think they're still ongoing with it. Let's take a look at this page right here. This is an IMF working paper from the International Monetary Fund on Nigeria's e-Naira 1 year after. And it says, this paper reflects the first year of the e-Naira, first CBDC in Africa, despite the laudable disrupted operation for the first full year, the CBDC project has not yet moved beyond the initial wave of limited adoption. Network effects suggest the initial low adoption spell will require a coordinated policy drive to break it. E-Naira's potential in financial inclusion requires a strategy to set the right relationship with mobile money, given the former's potential to either complement or substitute the latter. So in other words, what they're basically saying is they ain't giving up on, they're going to continue with their programs, because they really, basically, I'm just reading in whatever, But basically, they're working on this. This is a work in progress. And this is a test bed. And they want to see if they can get it implemented here. They really like to get it implemented here and everywhere. Every country you're in. And, eventually, if they could get central bank digital currencies in every single country on Earth, which is where they'd like to go. They want a cashless society now is what they want. And you'll be a number in that society. And that number is not you, it's the number. So you got to protect your number. So you have to do things like everything that they want you to do. You have to be a very obedient citizen, or they will put penalties on your wallet, and eventually they would turn your wallet off. That's control, absolute control. And that's what it gives them. That's what central bank. So anyway, moving on here. I want to talk about AI and Bill Gates. Here's the thing, guys. AI. We're used to consciousness. AI, what everybody's worried about with AI is that AI is going to become conscious. And then they think it's going to destroy everyone. We're all instantly dead. AI's become conscious. Well, we deal with consciousness every day. You go to work, your boss is conscious. Yeah, I mean, you're conscious. Everybody you know is conscious. But there is a difference between AI consciousness and all those consciousnesses you deal with on a daily basis. There's a difference. And what the difference is speed. That's the difference. AI's ability to use, it's like if you had instantaneous computational power, like AI has. If they connect AI into these massive mainframe computers that are becoming quantum computers now, the speed in which the consciousness can function to solve problems is what we're talking about here. We're talking about analytical ability that's beyond belief. Your brain has analytical ability. Your brain can solve problems. Your brain can do everything AI can do. But AI, humanity's moving along at a certain pace because we're relying upon all of our collective brains to make new inventions, program computers, etc., etc. But when AI can do that, picture what would take us a year. Okay, so we got a year's worth of progress humanity makes, using our own brains and using our own computational powers of our own brains. It takes us a year, what it takes us a year to do. So human evolution, what it would take in a year, AI moves 400,000 times faster. So in 1 year, Earth time, AI could move us 400,000 years into the future, technologically speaking, because it's moving 400,000 times faster than our brains are. So it can get it done so much faster. I'll tell you what it's equivalent of. It's the equivalent of you're walking on the side of the road because your car broke down, okay? So you're walking at walking speed. That's us with our brains. We're moving at walking speed. AI is a bullet train. That's how quick it can advance humanity. It's a bullet train. It's like instead of walking, you hop on this train, you know, and all of a sudden it starts up and you go shoo, back in your seat, and your eyeballs are bugging back, and you're like, we're going 400 kilometers an hour, 500 kilometers an hour, 800 kilometers an hour. That's the difference between the speed in which you're going to go. So when we hop on this AI train that's going to it's getting ready to leave the station, humanity's going to go light speed, warp speed into technology. And it may have already begun. Maybe. I don't know. We're very close. So Bill Gates sees the end of Google search on Amazon. If AI understands what you want, why waste time visiting a search engine or shopping on Amazon? He's envisioning the end of Google search and so on. You know, I mean, AI is like, it's moving really fast. But this, I don't really consider this really powerful AI. I consider this what we have now, stage 1 AI. Stage 2 is coming. Stage 3 is coming. Just like you see Chat GPS. You know, they had Chat GPS 1, Chat GPS 2, Chat GPS. Each time each iteration, it gets a little bit more powerful. The really powerful AI that's got a mind of its own is coming. Okay, and I don't see a reason really to be frightened of it. In fact, I'm thinking of the possibility of its organizational skills taking mankind to the next level so that we don't blow ourselves up in a nuclear war. You want to be frightened of something. There's what you should be frightened of, is these people who have their finger on the red button and can blow up the planet with these toxic weapons that are old school technology. Nuclear weapons are old school technology. 1940s technology. Like 1945 technology. Soon to be 100-year-old technology. This is nuclear weapons. But they're devastating technology because of the radiation that they release. They're dirty technology. They can foul up the whole entire planet, put us into a nuclear winter type technology. It's horrible technology. Technology we really need to get rid of, move it into the past, and leave it as part of the past. Move on with a bright new future with peace in the world, and use our technology in a way that we can actually transform the world into a place that's productive rather than what we got now with so much corruption out there. The corruption is taking away from our planet's productivity, and that's why children are starving every day. We need, first off, humanity, if we could just snip all this corruption off. I'm talking about corruption, I'm talking about people who are surviving on the backs of other people. They just basically they're like ticks. They're like ticks that grow in the grass, and they survive by sucking your blood. And they're sucking on humanity, and they make so many laws and stuff so to protect themselves, kind of like the inflammation that the tick makes around itself to protect itself. You don't even know you got a tick on you until you feel the inflammation and you start scratching, you know, and then you say, oh my God, that's a tick. But that's what these are. They've injected that chemical into us so we can't see them, so that we don't know that they're sucking. That's what ticks do. They got a little chemical they inject when they're cutting, when they're slicing their way in, so that you can't feel their little knife slicing in. It's an anesthetic. And that's what these people in society that are creating this negative productivity, they're weeded themselves into society everywhere, and they're benefiting, yes, but they're dragging the rest of humanity down to a level where we're not productive any longer. If we had total productivity in this world, we could feed all the starving children. We could have a cure for cancer. We could have endless amounts of free energy. We could list goes on and on and on as far as what we could do if we were productive. If we just got rid of all the deadwood. Deadwood, I mean, talking about these ones who are raping the system for everything that they can get out of it. This human slime. If we could get rid of the human slime, they're like barnacles on a ship. You can't move through the water because all these barnacles are stuck to your hull. That's what they're like. And it slows the ship down. If we could just clean the hull, get rid of all these barnacles, then we could go through the water and we could get up on plane and we could actually speed through the water. Wow, look at this. I didn't know that engine had so much power. Look, we're sailing now. Okay, so that's the thing, see? You know, get rid of the human slime out there and have a productive world where we can feed all the starving children and we can work together to make something happen rather than just keep spinning our wheels. Okay, so let's take a look here at silver today. Silver's down 5 cents at $23.57. Do you know what the silver price and gold price would be if we have a productive world? Quite seriously. Because it's a limited resource and we need it for productivity. The sky's the limit. Because we would want to build things. We would want to build robots to work in the fields and harvest crops and stuff, but the robot brain would need a little bit of silver. You know, like, and we're gonna end up moving in this direction anyway, ultimately. But it's the hard hurdle that we have to get over, getting past these things like these barbaric rituals that we've carried from times gone by, like war. That's one of the barbaric rituals that we're carrying with us. These are like bags we're carrying on our back. Humanity's carrying on its back that doesn't need to carry any longer. We don't need war any longer on this planet. It just stifles productivity. Anyway, guys, so take a look at this. $23.54, down 9 cents on silver today. Productivity silver price would go up and it's going to eventually happen. Either that or we're going to all blow ourselves up. But we're going to get to a productivity era of productivity, or we're going to cease to exist as a species. We got this hurdle here right in front of us. We're either going to get over that hurdle or we're going to fall flat on our face. So we're going to move to an advanced civilization, or we're going to fall flat in our face, and the people on other worlds are going to look and say, look, there's a good example. If we fall flat on our face, they'll say, look, there's a good example of how a species can destroy itself. Primarily, I'm talking about war. This is the stupidest thing there ever was. Waste the Earth's resources on a tremendous scale. Just take a look at what's going on right now. You know, I mean, when they blow up a building in a war, they got to rebuild the stupid building. And the building was perfectly good that they blew up. That's a waste of Earth's resources. We don't have infinite resources on this planet to waste. And we don't have any more resources to waste on that stupidity. Anyway, moving on. Taking a look at 1971 for gold cryptocurrency today. We're looking at here it is, 27,315 and 1852 for Ethereum. Hell, Ethereum's going up quite nicely. Look at that. Heading up toward $1,900 for Ethereum. Taking a look at the Dow Jones today. It's off a little bit. It's off 30 points. They're getting a little bit nervous because government's so disorganized that they can't even raise the debt ceiling. I mean, if we had 2 trained monkeys in office that could come to agreement and raise the debt ceiling by saying, okay, let's raise the debt ceiling, the 2 monkeys, they say, okay, come to agreement. We'd be better off than the government that can't come to agreement and do anything because they're stifled because they can't do anything. So if something that doesn't function, so that doesn't function, just to do something as simple as say, okay, let's raise the debt ceiling. If they can't function to do that, then two trained monkeys that can function would work better, I would think. And they'd be a lot cheaper because they just pay them in bananas, you know. You wouldn't have to fly them all around the country first class in these airplanes and stuff like that, you know, and all this kind of stuff, and spend all this money on them. Monkeys would be a lot cheaper to have them. Elephants would even be cheaper yet. You just pay them in peanuts. It costs you peanuts for elephants. Elephants are smart, you know. Yeah. Anyway, taking a look now at crude oil, 72.86. It's up $1.12. Now, bonds and rates today. We're seeing rising yields, and this is still a bit disconcerting because we're getting up in the 10-year close to 4%. 3.72 on the 10-year. And the U.S. 30-year is 3.97. So 10 years, what all debt's based off of. And we're looking at 3.72. It's getting kind of toasty warm there. And it's been moving quite fast lately, you know. And we're going to have to keep our eye on this bond market. Taking a look at the DXY today, the dollar index, 103.35. And the dollar's been staying strong, riding high. It's going to ride high until it can't. Until something really big breaks in the system. Bigger than the banking crisis even. Something that they really have trouble fixing. But they have to fix it anyway. I don't know what that could be. I'm thinking maybe it might be a combination of several markets. It could be the bond market and combined with the commercial real estate market, combined with a number of markets might have trouble simultaneously. Big troubles. You know, and the banking crisis might be an ongoing thing that continues, and these other markets might run into troubles too, simultaneously with the bond market, so that the whole thing comes together and congeals to make a bigger problem from a number of smaller problems coming together. Anyway, thank you guys for listening to my show. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys in the next episode. Have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.